Hello everyone and welcome to this pick a card reading video. In this video we will be evaluating what your blind spots are. I haven't actually looked at the piles yet, but I have looked at, skimmed through some of the cards. Like if they've poked out, I've seen what the cards are. And the vibe is that these blind spots aren't physical. Like when you think of blind spots, maybe you think of in your car you're driving in the blind spots. You can't see the cars on either side. But for you all, this mainly relates to like mental blocks that you may have, emotional blocks you may have, things that are more internal. And, right now I'm looking at the computer and it is 2:22 p.m. So everybody make a wish or manifest right now. Okay? Perfect. Whenever that happens, it always distracts me a bit. Anyway, my cat is here. I'm here. We are ready to go. And you'll know more about what I mean by blind spots if you're still a little bit confused once you choose your stack. Here is stack 1A, stack 2B, stack 3C, stack 4D. You can pause if you'd like and if you need some more time to figure out which stack you're most drawn to. If you're not drawn to any of the stacks, that's completely fine. This just might not be the pick a card reading video for you, but I have plenty of other timeless pick a card reading videos located all throughout my YouTube channel. You may also feel drawn to more than one stack, and that's completely fine to listen to more than one. As a reminder, everything I talk about and discuss in this video is for entertainment purposes only and cannot be stated as fact. Alright, let's get into it. Hello 1A and welcome to your part of the pick a card reading video. My cat is very lovey-dovey for this one. I wish y'all could see him right now. Anyway, the cards that we have here for you all are King of Cups upright. It says the Sage of Cups, but it's the same thing as the King of Cups. We have the Two of Swords in reverse. We have Beyond Judgment, or the Judgment card, in reverse. We have Seven of Cups upright, Eight of Pentacles upright, and the Man of Cups, or the Knight of Cups, in reverse. And then we have, I believe it's the Knight of Cups. It could be the Page of Cups. Pretty sure it's the Knight, but I still get the same messages anyway for you all. So, the Oracle cards that we have are Intuition. The red flags you ignore will now come back to bite later, and I love that we pulled this card, and I'll explain why in a sec. And we have 10 Capricorn Achieve. So literally the way that this spread reads is, but I can fix him. No, I can fix him. Y'all are the fixers. Look at that Eight of Cups energy. Y'all are the fixers. Capricorn is fixing energy as well. It's weird though because even though I say Capricorn energy, we do have the intuitive card here, intuition card. Y'all, one of your blind spots is your intuition, but here's why. It's not that you don't have a strong one. You actually do have a strong intuition, even if I think this is actually very much a group that could be like, oh yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I have too strong of an intuition. No, you do. Here's the thing. I think you have a strong intuition, but you ignore what your intuition is telling you. You ignore the signs you receive, or you just... Capricorn, earth sign energy is very stubborn in general. And so I laugh because I know this type of energy. Sometimes I can be like this. I think we can all be like this to an extent, but y'all, specifically, if you've chosen this stack, you're just so stubborn, where I think a lot of the people who have chosen this stack probably do the opposite of what they're told intuitively as well. Especially because some of you could be like, well, it's not tangible. It could be something that's made up in my head, so therefore I'm just going to do the opposite and like test it out, see what happens. It's very much that energy. So I think one of your blind spots is your intuition, especially as it relates to stubbornness. So your blind spot is also your stubbornness, because you intuitively know what you are meant to do or what you should do. You intuitively know the next steps to take. You intuitively know if the answer is yes or no. Like, you intuitively know all these things, but then you still do something anyway, or you do the opposite. It reminds me of, people who maybe have a crush on somebody, and maybe you've been dating somebody. It's not official, but you've been dating somebody, and then intuitively you know that this person, I mean, it says the red flags you ignore now will come back to bite later. Maybe intuitively you know that this person's very sleazy, maybe would cheat on you, maybe they have a history of that, but you're like, oh, but I'll fix him, but I'll fix them, you know. And so then you're like, well, okay, I know intuitively I feel like this person would still cheat on me as well, but I feel like I can fix this person, or I feel like I can be the person that's different, that gets this person to change their mind or to behave better. And so then maybe after dating for a bit, officially, then this person cheats on you, and then you're like, okay, well, intuitively I knew this, but I'm still mad. It's because of your stubbornness. Your stubbornness got you in that situation. Intuitively, you knew very strongly. It's like almost also like you're trying to test fate. I think that's your blind. I don't know if you would call that a blind spot. It's just part of your stubbornness where you're not afraid to test fate and to be like, well, I can be the one to change fate. You know, there is the whole argument of what's predetermined and what isn't. I think life is a mix of both. I think we can make decisions that are different from what has been laid out in front of us, and it reminds me of the butterfly effect as well, where I think a lot of you try to tempt that. You try to go against that. So what you intuitively know, you go against, or you just ignore because you think you are like above it. Your blind spot too is almost like an overconfidence with the Capricorn card. Capricorn is very confident in their abilities to enact change, to think for themselves, or to think differently. So I think with the intuitive knowledge that you have and the signs that you are given, you just flat out go against them. And you feel that you are above them and that you are the one that can enact change. And I will say, like I said, I don't think everything that's predetermined has to play out in that way. I think we do have free will, at least to an extent. You know, I think there's a balance, as I said. But I just think y'all are so... I don't even know if I want to say hyper independent or hyper individualistic, but you are in a way. It's not in terms of like you aren't willing to be around other people. I think it's actually the opposite, and that's part of your blind spot. Because here's the thing, I talked about you are fixers, and I think some of you rely on other people because your blind spot is, how do I even want to word this? The way this is like being shown to me, and the way that this energy feels. Oh gosh, I don't even know how to explain this energy. Wish I could transfer it to y'all right now. But your blind spot, I'll just say one of them is your reliance on other people, because you want to feel, if you're able to enact change, if you're able to, you know, pave your own path, or intuitively, if you're getting these signs that something's going to happen, but then it doesn't turn out the way you intuitively thought, I think that gives a lot of you so much power. And so I think a lot of you are very empathetic people, and that actually is part of your blind spot. But what I also want to talk about is the power you receive through other people. This kind of makes, okay, this is going to sound bad. You can, maybe without even realizing it, view other people as projects, because it's like, oh, I can fix that person. So that's part of what your blind spots in this reading are telling you, is that you rely on other people for power or for validation even. But it's, again, it's more like reverse validation. It's not validation of what you intuitively were told. It's validation of going against what you were intuitively told and feeling the power from going against what you were told. And this could also be not even just intuitively, just in life in general. If somebody says, hey, if you do this thing, you can get in trouble, and let's say you do this thing, you don't get in trouble. You feel very powerful in that. And I think doing things like this would be nothing without other people. That can include your spirit guides as well, your spirit team, but it also involves people in the physical realm. And then when people view you as somebody who's able to like defy all odds, then that gives you power, and that helps you, that makes you want to continue to make these, I almost want to say mistakes, but continue making these decisions. Ultimately, you could continue making, beyond judgment reverse too. That's the thing too, it's like you're judging the situations incorrectly. You see clearly what's laid out in front of you and you go against it. you're going against your better judgment. You're going against the better judgment of spirit. You're going against the better judgment of other people because you do try to defy all odds. I wonder if growing up you were always told, or even just, still to this day from your family, you're told things like, you can't do, like, you're not able to make it. I mean, Capricorns here could relate to career stuff, especially where it's like, oh, you aren't going to be able to do that. Oh, you want to be a doctor? I don't believe in you. I wonder if throughout your life you just haven't been believed. So then also I think that translates to not believing in what spirit. Oh, yeah. So then because of that, you don't believe in what other people tell you, and that means you also don't believe in what spirit tells you intuitively. Even if it's something positive, you could be somebody who in general, for example, is a very positive person, and then intuitively you're told all these good, happy things, and then you keep second guessing it. You're like, okay, well, I actually believe all these bad things are going to happen. Two of Swords in reverse energy, for me, it's not even as much about indecisiveness, it's about choosing the wrong path, making the wrong choices, doing the opposite, as I said, of what spirit is wanting for you to do. And a big theme for you all, part of your blind spot, is really just defying all odds and doing the opposite of what others tell you. I will say this though, with the King of Cups here, and even the Knight of Cups being reversed, I think you all are very actually empathetic people. That is part of your blind spot, is that you are empathetic. So that's why the whole fixing people energy, I think a lot of you believe in other people despite their past, which can be a very beautiful thing, to not let other people's past dictate how they are treated by you in the present moment. And even in the future, Eight of Pentacles is all about seeing further down the road as well. So I think you almost have this plan for other people in your mind as well, where it's like you can step in. A lot of you have this part of your blind spot is being the hero. You think you are the hero. You think you are the one, again, enacting change, but specifically the verbiage that's coming across is you believe you are the hero. I'm hearing Holding Out for a Hero by Bonnie Tyler, where you feel like if you're the one that steps in, then other people can change. If you're the one that steps in, then other people are able to maybe live a better life. And it doesn't come across maybe a little bit as narcissist, not narcissistic, what is it? Is it? What am I thinking of? What's the word? I don't know, just maybe it feeds your ego a bit. Um, but it's not just because of that. I think you relate to a lot of people. Even the Seven of Cups energy, usually this imagery is somebody or it's a multiple cups that are laid out, and it represents multiple options. For you, I think that indicates a lot of things. For you, I think it can represent not going down the path that other people choose for you, but as it relates to what I was just talking about, I think it also can relate to the fact that you want to help multiple people. You want to change multiple people. You want to do so much for other people. And, oh, my cat. Okay, my cat hit something on the keyboard. Something popped up. Hopefully that did not completely ruin the computer. What are you trying to say? What are you trying to say? Now he's batting at the cards. What are you trying to say, Axel? Are you trying to say something? Trying to tell me to pause? You know what? I think that actually would be a good messaging for you all as well. Because with this Eight of Pentacles card, it also indicates doing a lot, like overworking yourself, and that's part of your blind spots. You don't give yourself enough time. Capricorn energy too. You don't give yourself enough time to chill out. Whether it's you're doing something for your own life or you're focusing on helping out somebody else in life, somebody you're close to or a stranger or whoever, it feels like you're always occupying your time with things to do. And it's like, ooh, this is a big thing. A big message coming through is, oh, no, I just lost it. I think that makes sense too, because I think a message for you all could be that it's hard for you to keep up memory-wise because there's so many things that you put on your plate. So if you've been struggling with memory issues, Spirit's like, well, it makes sense because you're doing so much, and it's not like you're even writing all this down. It's like you're just doing so much, and then you forget about these other things. So you could burn bridges that way as well. People could get very upset with you because of how you fill your time. What was I gonna say before that was so important? Yeah, I completely lost it. I don't remember. But with this intuition card too, it's saying the red flags that you ignore now will come back to bite you later. If you don't give yourself the time now to rest, it will bite you later. If you How can I best describe this? Yeah, like let's say you say yes to a work event. It's outside of work, but you still get paid and it's still something that's very important. And then let's say you completely miss it or you show up late because you filled your schedule with so many other things. Maybe they were important, maybe they weren't. But let's say you filled up your schedule and then you finally show up to this work thing or you call and you're like, "Hey, I'm so sorry, I completely forgot." That could affect, maybe you don't get fired. Maybe you could in that kind of situation, but maybe it's just that you aren't trusted in your career and professional life anymore. And I think for a lot of you too, just your career in general and money making opportunities are important for you. And I think that could be your blind spot as well. Because also the way this comes across is putting so much pressure on doing so much or advancing in your career. That is a blind spot because putting so much pressure, inevitably you are going to mess up. And that could cause trouble, like, from your superiors or your counterparts or just yourself. You could be harder on yourself. Like, "Oh, I'm not as good at this as I thought I was," or, "Oh, I'm not ready for this in the way that I thought I was," or, like, some of the verbiage is it's weird. I'm hearing, "I'm not good enough," but also at the same time, I am good enough. I think a lot of you overcompensate because you think you are good enough, which you are, hopefully. Are confident in your abilities, and you do believe that you are good enough to do things, and if not, then you can work hard to achieve things. Even if you're at a certain point now, you can get maybe later down the road even better at something, right? I think you should believe in yourself, but it comes from this place of overcompensating and believing that, again, this stems from certain issues in your life, like childhood, where maybe you were told you were not good enough. So it's like you overcompensate. And with the intuition card here, you could be told, "Hey, like, this is something you could achieve, but not right now." So a lot of you too, I think, push your limits in terms of timing. I think with the Beyond Judgment in reversed here, you don't it's weird. You put so much on your plate. So you're not, again, giving yourself enough time to breathe and evenly lay things out. You feel the need to do so much at once. So because of that, you are inevitably going to either burn out or make some major mistakes as opposed to maybe making minor mistakes along the way and then course correcting. Do you get what I'm saying? So Spirit is saying with your blind spot also being timing, if you time things out better, if you also, for some of you, if you forget things easily, writing things out, putting things on a physical calendar or in your phone, like setting alarms and reminders, putting things in your calendar on your phone, doing things like this will be very helpful and beneficial for you because some of you, I think, could also think, "Oh no, I'll just remember, I don't need to write it down." I'm like, literally, I'm like this today, like, with my dreams. Whenever I have a dream, I took a nap before this, impromptu. I wasn't planning on it. And then I had a lot of important dreams. Before I started recording this, I could have written those down, and I feel like Spirit was saying it was important for me to write these things down and reflect on them later today after I'm done with this. I don't even think I'll be able to finish this pick a card reading today. But anyway, you get my point. Where I was being told, "Hey, you should write these down, or else you will forget later," and all that. I'm just like, "Ah, I'll just remember later." I probably won't. Let me tell you that right now. uh, and especially with all of you, you have so much on your plate. Again, it's hard to keep up. It's hard to remember everything. So don't be stubborn. Your stubbornness, this Capricorn Earth sign energy, your blind spot, part of it is your stubbornness. Don't be afraid to write things down. Also, don't be afraid to say no to things. A lot of you keep saying yes to things. You need to say no to a lot more things. You need to give yourself more time to rest. You need to trust your intuition instead of going against it. And with Capricorn Earth energy being here too, it's like a lot of you want tangible proof. And so it can be hard to trust your intuition, even if it's so strong and even if it, like, normally some of you, I feel like, even recognize, like, "Oh yeah, intuitively I knew." But you still keep making decisions that are only based purely on logic and that maybe specifically go against your intuition because you're like, that's like It's not tangible, it's not logical. A lot of what you need to do is balancing out. That means trusting your intuitive side, also your emotional side. A lot of you, I think, if you emotionally feel something, especially, I don't even want to say especially negative, it could be especially positive too, where you just feel something and then you shut down or you shut it off. You're like, I can't feel that. It feels like even though you go from one extreme to another in your personal life, I think when it comes to your emotions, you don't like feeling extremes, extreme happiness or extreme sadness. You kind of maybe more so operate in this neutrality. Um, and that's maybe where it feels safe for you. So I would say that part of your blind spots is that you don't explore your emotional side as much as you should. And that's part of what relaxing, taking a breather, having more time to yourself. That's more of what Oh, I completely forgot what I was gonna say. That's more of what, Spirit is saying you should do is reflect. Journaling would be very important. I was gonna say though, because I think this group relies on other people, so it could be hard for you. Maybe you have codependency in a way with other people. I just think again, you have power and validation through being around other people. Being alone could trigger you in many ways. So Spirit is saying to work through that and to stay strong in that, to not and if other people need help, that doesn't mean like during this time where you're maybe in a hermit phase that you can't, or you're having time to relax. It doesn't mean you can't help people. Like, let's say somebody calls you like, "Hey, I have a flat tire. I'm so sorry." It's like that doesn't mean you can't help people in those instances, right? But still having time set aside for yourself to reflect, to pause, to really think things over in your life. Don't be afraid to step out of this neutral place and to step away from being around other people. You don't always need to network. You don't need to always be around other people or help other people. But again, you can still help people if they need your help during times where you're having more alone time. But it's about having that scheduled time. And I think a lot of you hopefully will learn to feel good eventually, where it's like, oh, I scheduled this time for myself and I feel so much like lighter and freer because you don't have all these obligations. Your blind spots are part of it is your obligations. Removing some obligations in your life will be helpful for you. There could be things that you have on the schedule that maybe you could remove right now. Or maybe you're somebody who just like throughout the week you just continue adding things onto your pile. So do less of that. Do less of adding things to your pile. Your pile of things to do, you know what I'm saying? Uh I think that extensively covers everything. So oh, I do want to say too, I think a lot of you, when you make decisions, it can be hard for you to change your mind unless somebody else tells you, hey, it's like, here, I'm thinking of somebody going up to you who you don't like at work, like, hey, I like your idea. And then they walk away and you're like, oh, I gotta change it. And that's part of your stubbornness. But also, I think when it comes to the decisions you specifically make for yourself, um, you can't get swayed unless if it is from the external, from doing the opposite of what other people tell you, even if it's people you like. It reminds me of people who oh my god, I know people like this. I give people advice when they ask for it, and they do the complete opposite. It's like, don't ask for advice if you are going to the opposite. Some of you, maybe it is about not trusting other people, so that's why you do the opposite. So that's something you need to work through as well, is a blind spot of not trusting people, but then also you, on the other hand, expect people to trust you because you feel you have the knowledge. So do you see the almost hypocrisy in that? I don't mean that as a read. It's just something you should know and understand, okay? I think what I'll do now is go into the guidebook and I will read everything it says here and we will go from there. 10. Capricorn achieve. Capricorn asks us to dive deep into the sea of collective consciousness to find a worthy dream and then work on it and walk it to the mountaintops. Capricorn, the cardinal earth sign, is ruled by Saturn. Its symbol is a mergoat or half sea creature, half mountain goat. People also call it just a sea goat. And the sign is connected to our bones and knees, the equipment we use to climb stairs and achieve our goals. The sun shines in Capricorn December 21st to January 20th. Action. This situation needs a good and healthy structure, foundations upon which you can solidly build. Capricorn imbues ambition and drive, determination, willpower, and precision. When used with integrity, these qualities culminate in the gift of leadership. The Mergo reminds us to dive into spirit, into the dream world, Get a vision for the good of all sentient beings, then do the work needed to manifest it. Find motivation, set a goal, and build with integrity. I do want to say too, like your blind spots, any goals that you have, anything you want to manifest, you could work so hard on these that you're not listening to the intuitive signs or even the logical signs of messages of, hey, this maybe isn't meant for you anymore, or hey, maybe you should change things up a bit, right? So, mountain goats climb easily up and down, but aren't as comfortable on flat terrain. Capricorn energy can leave you depressed when you feel flat and see no progress. If you can't fish, mend the nets. Look for what can be done now and make it a project. Make short-term plans that take you to medium-term goals and help you climb your mountain over time. Celebrate each step. Capricorn encourages you to practice skills and develop spiritual disciplines. Learn to control yourself, oh my god, learn to control yourself, not others. Lead rather than dictate. Look for guidance from elders or experts and grow your excuse me, and grow your personal authority. Develop confidence through your portfolio. Observe and savor not what you think you can or can't do, but what you've actually done. And that's the thing too with the confidence part. A lot of you, I think, overcompensate. If you're truly confident, you don't need to overcompensate. If you truly believe in yourself, you don't need to do too much. Challenge. Keep an eye on the power dynamics. Without integrity, Capricorn ambition can enable gross manipulation. Control a tendency to become controlling or manipulative when feeling anxious. Do not fall in love with others' competence. Let it inspire your own. Gift. Wisdom grown over time and through mature experience is the gift of Capricorn, as is connection to the spiritual traditions and disciplines that offer a sound foundation for our evolution. So yeah, Capricorn, it's talking about with Capricorn doing things over time. You don't need to do everything everywhere all at once. You get what I'm saying? I think that is a good place to stop, though. There's nothing else to add. So yeah, I'll leave it there. Thank you so much, 1A, for watching and listening to this video. Hope you enjoyed it. If you liked the video, you can like the video down below. You can comment down below if you resonate with this stack, and you can update your comments sometime in the future if there are any updates you would like to provide for us all. You can subscribe to my channel. It helps me out a lot. You can check out my other timeless pick a card reading videos located all throughout the channel, and you can check out my Brittney's ASMR YouTube channel that will be linked in the video description down below. Thank you so much again, 1A, and take care. Hello, 2B, and welcome to your part of the pick a card reading video. The cards here are 9 of Swords upright, the Wheel of Life or the Wheel of Fortune upright, the 3 of Cups in reverse, 5 of Swords in reverse, the Chariot upright, and the 9 of Cups upright. And then we have distance. You and your partner may be physically or emotionally distant, and 4 Cancer immerse. And with the distance card, it talks about you and your partner, like, in a romantic setting. That isn't necessarily what I'm getting here. I mean, it can involve that, but that's not the main message that I'm getting here. You know what I'm saying? Like, it can involve romance. It's not just about romance. It's about everybody in your life. And I don't want to get to that now. Sorry. Also, my cat is right next to me. He's being so cute right now. It's hard to lock in, but actually I gotta lock in. Yeah. Okay. So maybe will I get started on the distance part? You and your partner maybe physically. No, I want to talk first about, okay. A main message that I'm getting for you all is that you are one of your blind spots is that you are very trusting people. And I think it's easier for some of you maybe would disagree with this part, but I feel like for a lot of you it is actually easy for you to trust people. Or if it's not easy for you, then I think once you find people that you do trust, that you give them all of your trust, and that even if there are red flags or things that people are doing that should make you second guess your faith or trust in them, I think a lot of you are able to make excuses on their behalf. Like, let's say you have a long-term partner, you've had no reason to not trust them, and then after a couple of years of dating, like, you fully trust them, but then you find out from somebody, like a mutual friend, they text you or they call you and they're like, hey, I just thought you should know this, but this is what's going on. Your partner is cheating on you. And maybe a lot of you would be like, what are you talking about? Like, there's no indication of this. And then if you actually were to reflect, though, you'd maybe be like, oh, so that's why they came home really late on this night, or that's why they said they were at this work event, but they weren't when I was talking to people, and then they made up some random excuse. It's like, oh, so the red signs were always there. And that's the thing. It's because you're so trusting of people. When you do trust somebody, the red flags that show up, you are willing to. The distance can also indicate distancing yourself from the truth. And I think, too, a lot of you, part of the reason this shows up is because. Oh, I just had it. Wasn't gonna. How am I trying to word this? With the distancing yourself from the truth, I think for a lot of you, your blind spot is that you also do not like being hurt. The Knight of Swords here indicates to me you've been through a lot, you've had to grieve a lot, and that you're also anxious about a lot of things. So I think that's why, say, for example, when you do trust somebody, you don't want to believe when they go against your trust. So your blind spot is being overly trusting of people who maybe you shouldn't be trusting of. And I think the reverse of that can be people you should be trusting of, you're not trusting of them, because I think you subconsciously feel like it's too good to be true. So I think you should beware of that, of trusting people you shouldn't fully trust, and then not trusting people who you should give more grace to and trust more. Um, yeah, it's interesting. I see a lot of you could potentially have, how do I want to say this? You could have, is it boundaries? What I want to say? Like, you could have. I feel like a lot of you could have in your life cut off friendships. Three of Cups in reverse, that's the friendship card. A lot of you could have cut off friendships or different connections with people. Oh, you know what sorry, I know I keep not getting to the point. But it reminds me of like, let's say you're in a friend group and somebody did something bad. Or at least that's what you were told, like somebody did something bad. So you trust your other friends who told you this, and so then you all cut off this friend. And then you find out later on that the person who was cut out was actually the good guy in the situation, or they were the ones that were telling the truth. So I think a lot of you could maybe feel shameful of those kinds of situations, of trusting the wrong people. And I think intuitively a lot of you know the truth, but you're just unwilling to face it for whatever reason. Uh, and a big part of it, I think, is that blind spot of the truth can be too hard to accept. So that's why I'm not surprised Cancer is here. This does very much give water sign energy of. Also, it's like escapist tendencies too, and the self-sabotage that's coming through, where it's like intuitively you know what the truth is, but it's too painful to accept that as truth, even if it feels correct. Even if you have logical evidence, piecing things together, that's very water sign coded as well, where it's like you have tangible evidence even of something being truthful, but then you're not willing to accept it as the truth because you think your made up delusion, I'm sorry, this may come across as a read. Your made up delusion is more safe to cling onto. What you have previously believed, you still want to believe because it keeps you safe. Therefore, you will keep believing it, even though you know deep down that what you believe or what you're holding as truth is no longer the truth, or maybe it never was the truth. And that's hard for a lot of you to accept. So that's part of what your blind spot is here. It's about like trusting others, also trusting yourself. A lot of you don't truly trust yourself. I think. Oh, whoa. Sorry, there's a whole nother message coming through. I'll try to hold on to that and bring it up in just a sec. But what was I saying? A lot of you don't trust yourself, so I think that's why some of the trusting you have is in other people. It's like I very much relate to this myself. It's like you trust, for example, other people's judgments of you more than you trust the judgments of yourself. Or maybe, I don't know if that's a good example. Because I know a lot of times people are the harshest critics of themselves. It's weird though. I feel like, what, I'm just going to keep saying that because it's coming through still. You maybe trust other people's judgments of you more than you trust yourself. So if other people say you're this awful, horrible person, then I think you're more likely to believe that as opposed to thinking, you know what, I'm a good person. I've done a lot of work on myself. I have tried really hard to right my wrongs, but it's like if there's one other person in your life, it could even be a stranger. I think a lot of you are, that's the thing, your blind spot in general, you are very affected by other people's perceptions of you. You are very, and that's very much shown here by the Nine of Swords upright being mirrored by the Five of Swords in reverse. Wait, what did I say? Yeah, Nine of Swords upright mirrored by Five of Swords in reverse. Also the Three of Cups in reverse. A lot of you, any negative perceptions that other people tell you about or that you hear about, it affects you negatively. Also, I think a lot of you make assumptions from what other people think about you, even if you don't hear it from their mouth. So a lot of you are more likely, and that brings me back to what I was saying even a bit before, where whether it's tangible evidence or whatever it is, I just think you, whatever you make up in your mind, it's hard for you to change that because it keeps you safe. So even if there's no real evidence to truly believe, it's like you just feel like, that's the thing, you feel that other people hate you, or you feel that other people are being disrespectful toward you or making fun of you, then you will believe that, and it will take the world to be able to switch that perception. And even if you talk it out with another person, it's like, hey, it was just a misunderstanding or a miscommunication, a lot of you will still subconsciously hold on to that and feel that you are not a good person, or that you are somebody that is made fun of a lot, that you are somebody who can't trust other people because people, they just don't like you or they view you in a negative light. A lot of people in this stack, I think, actually have a negative self-esteem, which is interesting because what also shows up here is, again, very water sign energy. We have the Chariot, and with this, it's making me think go with the flow. And I'm pairing that with the Wheel of Fortune as well as the Nine of Cups upright. This is, when I pulled the cards earlier and I got a glimpse of the cards in this stack, I immediately was getting messages of, you expect equally the best in yourself and in other people and the worst. It just depends on your mood that day, and it depends on the situation at hand. Like, I think you can be very go with the flow and very accepting of things, just depending on the situation. And it's weird because you have low self-esteem, but I think also you could overcompensate in terms of, how do I explain? Like, let's go back to, wait, was this in this stack or the other stack? I don't remember. But, oh yeah, talking about, let's say somebody's cheating on you. You could be maybe very go with the flow about it and be like, no, like, they're not, I don't believe they're cheating on me because they would never, because I'm so, like, perfect for them. And then, oh, you know what, that, it leads you back to, let me, add to this example. Let's say you think that and feel that because this person always in person is just like, oh my god, I love you so much, you're the best thing that's ever happened to me. So then you believe those words. Maybe then when you hear these other things that aren't resonating with what you know to be true, that's why you're just like, okay, well, I don't believe that. Like, they always tell me how much they love me. So in that situation, maybe you are very go with the flow and very accepting of the truth, and you expect the best case situation. Also because in that situation, that is what helps keep you safe. In other instances, let's think, you could be the opposite, where and instead the Chariot can indicate building upon this negative mindset that you have, or this negative thought that you have. And the Wheel of Fortune can indicate continuing that cycle, I think. Ooh. And I'm hearing, like, breaking cycles, too. Okay, I'll try to put that on the back burner for now. Um, but you could expect, let me think of a situation where you could expect the worst. Let's say you are somebody who is, oh, you know what? I think you especially expect the worst if it relates to something that's happened in the past. Let's say you've gone into a bad car accident, like, a year or two ago, and you're just trying to drive again. You can maybe constantly think, hey, if I'm gonna go on the road today, I'm gonna die. It's like, that isn't necessarily how it works, especially if you're just, like, going a block or two away because you're just trying to drive again, and hopefully you're not going crazy with it, in this kind of situation. But it's like, in that situation, you expect the worst. You expect the worst because of something that has happened to you in the past. You get what I'm saying? But also, if we even go back to the situation where somebody's cheating on you, it could be you expect the best because it's also happened to you in the past. I think a lot of this stems back to experiences you've had in the past. So let's say somebody's cheating on you and you don't wish to believe that because you want to protect your ego. You want to protect your inner child. You want to be like, oh, well, this can't happen to me again. Like, I make smarter choices in terms of who I am romantically involved with or whatever it is. So I'm not going to believe that this person's cheating on me. Paired with, maybe in person, they're very lovey-dovey, very much love-bombing you. I think that's your blind spot as well. This group is very susceptible to love bombing. Even the Five of Swords in reverse can indicate that. So let's say you're mad at somebody did something very wrong to you. And with the Cancer card here, like, you could be very easily forgiving of others, especially if you do have that low self-esteem. Nine of Swords energy too. It's like you worry so much, you just want anything to maybe grasp onto. So let's say you're very unhappy with the situation, and then people love bomb you. People tell you all the right things. And for you, it's just like a lot of positive affirmations, a lot of reassurance that people love you or care about you, or that people wouldn't hurt you, or that people are truly sorry. And so I think it's easy for you to forgive people or to move past things. Especially this group, one of your blind spots could be codependency. And also with the Wheel of Life or the Wheel of Fortune here, the Knight of Cups, it's like, okay, I believe this person will do better because they have to, because my mental health will struggle if they don't do better, you know? So there's this blind acceptance, I would say, is part of your blind spot. Blind and blind. Love is blind, no. But, you know what? I said that as a joke, but seriously, for y'all, y'all should apply for Love is Blind. No, I'm just kidding. Please don't. But I think you are able to accept, forgive, move on, or even surpass red flags or negative experiences with people in order to just a lot of messaging of keeping yourself safe. So then I think a lot of you, your blind spot in general is wishful thinking, not just expecting or hoping for the worst, but specifically wishful thinking, where you hope people make changes, you hope people do better. For yourself, if you've made mistakes, it's like, well, even if I don't really do the work, I'll just hope that I do better. And that's the thing. Whether it's you or other people, if there's people not doing I think people think they can just not do the work. They'll say words and their actions don't match. So maybe you'll still feel anxious about that, but you're like, okay, well, things are different. I think, yeah, your blind spot relates to the words people tell you, you will accept, and then the actions, when they don't align with those words, it can get you very confused, and it can get you in this space of not being able to accept the truth. And so people could do things, even if people are doing the same things they were doing before, you could be like, oh, no, but they're different because they told me so. And Spirit is saying, no, you can't keep on the cycles. Yeah, here we go. So Wheel of Fortune, it's about these cycles. I think this is something that could be very karmic for you as well. So Spirit is saying this is something karmically you need to break. You need to not blindly trust people. You need to not stay stuck in situations where people are treating you unfairly. With the Chariot too, it can also be like you not wanting to give up on like a connection, whether it's a friendship, a romantic partnership, or a family relationship, a business partnership, coworker relationship, whatever kind of relationship it is in your relationships. Spirit is saying that you're the one that tries to make it work. You're the one that hopes people get better, and you're the one who puts in the effort to make things right, to make things better. Even if you're not the one who did anything wrong, it's like you're doing all these things to try to make things work in terms of relationships and connections, and then other people could still be doing the same things. And you just are willing to forgive and keep moving on, but and trying to like overlook and be like, and a lot of you too could be like, well, I understand where this person's coming from. You could be very empathetic people. That's how a lot of water signs are. I think that's part of it. It's like you're very empathetic people, so you want to believe in the best, but also it's like you try to see the other person's point of view, but doing that too much is not healthy. And then it again distances yourself from the truth. And I think it distances yourself from other people as well. When we stay stuck in connections with people that are toxic, it's not only unhealthy for you or the connection, but also for that other person, because it doesn't allow the other person to change or actually evolve and do better, because they rely on your forgiveness. They rely on your sympathy or empathy. So because of that, people don't truly change, and that could also lead you to not truly evolve and change as well. So Spirit is saying to get unstuck from this, you need to break this karmic cycle, this karmic patterning. Think about moments in this lifetime and feel intuitively if this maybe relates to past lifetimes as well, if you believe in that, where you stay stuck in these situations because you expect things to get better. You believe the words people say, and you get people to rely on you. That's the thing too. Your blind spot is allowing other people to rely on you. And I think a lot of you, like if you were to be told, oh yeah, like you, like let's say you're a romantic partnership and this person's like, you are all of my happiness. For some of you, I think, or a lot of you, I think that could actually make you feel a lot better about yourselves because you do seek so much validation from people externally and you want to be that person who is viewed as a good person. So I think being told that, you're like, heck yeah, I love that. But then if you really break it down, it's like, well, this person shouldn't derive all of their happiness from me. They should get happiness from them themselves and also other connections in their life, their hobbies and their interests that they enjoy. Um, so it can't just be from me. So that's the thing too. Think about and some of you maybe actually relate to that as well. Think about where you derive your happiness. For many of you, I think you could derive your happiness from a lot of one place. And that's why with this Knight of Swords energy, it can be like dangerous or very negatively, it could impact your health because if you are told, where was I going with that? I'm so sorry. I got a visual and then I got distracted by that because I'm like, well, does that really relate to what I'm saying? Oh, with this Knight of Swords energy, there we go. It can be very negatively impactful because if you put so much of your happiness in one person or in one specific thing or area in your life, if you get disappointed by that thing, then it's a lot more likely to lead you to be prone to depression or very anxious thoughts. So you should diversify. I think that's part of your blind spots too. So Spirit is saying instead of deriving all your happiness from one person or thing, diversify. You can be happy from multiple things at a time. And that includes internally, not just externally. Seeking validation from within and seeking happiness and contentment. And I'm feeling a sense of peace. You need to find a sense of peace within. You don't need to be at peace from other people's like words of affirmation validations. Okay, you need to be able to do that for yourself and truly believe in what you're saying to yourself. Like even an affirmation like I am beautiful. Maybe hear that from a romantic partner or from family and friends. If you don't truly believe that, then those words can only take you so far. If you took all of those words away from other people, then where are you left? You're left with you not truly loving yourself or valuing yourself or viewing yourself simply as a beautiful person. So then this is something where a blind spot is instead of seeking external validation, seeking it internally, viewing yourself on a higher pedestal, not viewing yourself as a good person based off of what other people tell you, but based off of what you yourself tell yourself. And if you truly believe you're a good person, then you should feel comfortable saying that. And if you don't feel you are, then why is that the case? And is it also because I think a lot of you are very hard on yourself? Like, I think a lot of you are very hard on yourself. And so, because of that, that's why we can seek the external validation. Even if it's external validation that we're bad people, it's like maybe we believe we're bad, but it's like when other people say it, we believe it much more. And I think a lot of you too, I just get a sense have quite a few draining relationships in your life, so this would be a good time to cut things off with certain people. I feel like some when you do that, it could feel very much obviously painful at first to cut these people off from your life, but Spirit is saying do what ultimately is best for you and your mental health because I think a lot of you too haven't been prioritizing your mental health and that's part of your blind spot. You've been prioritizing keeping your happiness. That's the thing too. I think a lot of you are afraid to be sad and upset. So you prioritize always trying to be happy all the time, which is why it can be hard for you to accept the truth sometimes. And you always want to expect the best case scenario. Or you're hopeful of the best case scenario happening all the time. And so Spirit is saying that that can't always be the case. So for a lot of you too, you just need to be more realistic and face the truth and face the reality. And part of that is cutting out connections in your life and finding true happiness within. I think what I'll do now is I will read in the guidebook, I will read it in full. It says, for Cancer immerse. Cancer is symbolized by a crab who asks us to dive deep into the sea of emotion and come back home again. The crab always carries its protective shell, however. That's the thing, too. I've already said this, but trusting yourself. You are your own safe space. This moon-ruled cardinal water sign signifies nutrition in and out of the body and is connected to the breasts and stomach. The sun shines here June 21st to July 22nd. Action. Be the emotional leader and connect with the parent archetype. If you're in need of parenting yourself, reach out to the divine mother and father, to the earth beneath the sky above, and feel held. Once you feel fed by spirit, it becomes easier to accept the ordinary human limitations of the people around you. If you're called to parent others in this situation, whether in love or work, do so with a balanced approach of honest feedback and support and self-care. Nurture without enabling. Model what you want others to do. That's the thing. Don't enable other people. Don't allow other people to step all over you, or don't allow other people to just do and say things that you want to hear or whatever. You have to be able to be tough with these kinds of people too. Don't just accept and be like, oh, I'm afraid that they'll walk away from me or they'll hate me if I say this. Sometimes being a good friend, being a good partner, being a good family member or whatever, part of that is being honest and truthful, and that can include difficult conversations, which I think a lot of you, that's part of your blind spots. You struggle specifically with having difficult conversations, and spirit wants you to be able to have those and be patient and easy on yourself as you have these conversations, but don't enable yourself or others. Nourish the connections with your chosen family and nourish bodies, gardens, communities, and your temple's hearth. Cantor calls us to deepen our relationship to home, but not to get stuck in this protective shell. If you need more out of life, you'll have to leave this safety to find what you need. Yes, the safety. Find a home base or a safe place within your soul, and from that safety, be ready to brave exploration and risk caring with all your heart. Challenge. Crabs are hard on the outside, but soft and squishy on the inside. Remember that the very defenses you think will keep you safe may actually keep important people out. That's the thing, like having native connections and keeping the people who you should have in your life out. Soften your shell. You may have a backbone and are not protected solely by an exoskeleton. Gift. Be aware of the psychic pool in which you float. If you feel tossed by the waves or battered by the anxiety of those around you, dive down deeper and find the calm below. Float in the ocean of collective consciousness and feel cradled, nurtured by the Divine Mother, fed and cuddled. That's the thing. I think a lot of you also, part of your blind spots is you take on the issues of other people and make them your own. But I also want to talk about, I feel like there's something, oh, I feel like for a lot of you, this is specific messaging, but it reminds me of, like, I don't know if you've ever been in therapy or not, but for me, when I wasn't younger and I would go to therapy, these people would try to bring up, like, I knew my dad wasn't a good person, but whenever they would ask about my connection with my mom, sorry, mom, know you're watching this, love ya, she would be like, or the therapist would ask about, like, yeah, my connection with my mom, and if I ever said something and they were like, "Oh, I'm sorry, that must have been hard on you," I'd always get very defensive, and I would defend my mom and be like, "No, she did everything she could," you know? Like, in that example, parents aren't perfect. A lot of times, there will be at least some trauma that parents transfer onto children, right? And so, what I'm trying to say is, it reminds me of that, I think, because a lot of you are defensive of other people, and I was bringing that up earlier, where you are willing to allow other people to walk over you, or you allow other people to be a certain way, also because of the empathy of, oh, that person's been through a lot, I understand what's going through. Spirit is saying you can't, that can only take you so far, and that's not good for you to have that kind of mindset, and it's okay to realize, even if we love people and we still want people in our lives, it's okay to understand where people have been unkind to us. Even if we know people are good people, maybe they just do something and it makes you upset, but they don't really know. Spirit is saying to not be passive. To not be passive, to have hard conversations, and to not be afraid to speak up for yourself. And I think some of you already know, like, oh yeah, if I were to bring this certain thing up, this person wouldn't hate me, but I would just feel bad. It's like, don't worry about making other people feel bad. For some of you, or a lot of you, you really need to just Say what needs to be said, because the passivity leads to passive aggressiveness oftentimes, and you just don't need that. That's not healthy. People maybe don't even know what they're doing is affecting you in this negative way, so don't be afraid to speak up and speak your mind as well. But I will leave it at that. Thank you so much to B for watching and listening to this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you liked the video, you can like the video down below. You can comment down below if you resonate with this stack, and you can update your comment again sometime in the future if there are any updates you would like to provide for us all. You can subscribe to my channel. Excuse me. You can subscribe to my channel, it helps me out a lot. You can check out my other timeless pick a card reading videos located all throughout my YouTube channel, and you can check out my ASMR channel, Brittney's ASMR, that will be linked in the video description down below. Thank you so much again, Tubi, and take care. Hello 3C, and welcome to your part of the pick a card reading video. The cards here are Six of Pentacles upright, the Hanged Man in reverse, Death card in reverse, Youth of Swords or the Page of Swords in reverse. Upright, sorry. The Moon upright and the Knight of Wands in reverse. And then we have Earth sign, Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn, and we have 37 Descendant Invitation. So, right off the bat, I do want to say, for some of you this will resonate. If it doesn't, then, it's fine. Maybe you still resonate with this, but I think a lot of the people who have chosen this stack, I wouldn't be surprised if you have suffered from depression before. Everybody can go through periods of it, but more long term. I wouldn't be surprised if it's something you've dealt with before long term, or if you are currently dealing with it, or if it kind of ebbs and flows throughout your life. I think that you know what I want to say? I'll just get this part out of the way. A blind spot for some of you could be with a Death card in reverse. I wonder if some of you are in a healing phase. That could be because of a death of a loved one and you're grieving that. It could also be that recently you have maybe ended a relationship. It could be romantic, it could be a friendship, it could be anything. Some of you maybe have gone no contact or ended a relationship with somebody or even a group of people. It could even be that some of you have encountered a life shift, such as changing jobs or moving. Anyway, it feels like you're in this stage right now where you are in a grieving process. So I think your blind spot is that a lot of you are likely going through a period right now where you are not at your happiest or at your best. And that can affect things like your work performance or your ability to socialize as well. So I think all areas of your life appear to be impacted because you're just going through this transitioning phase in your life, and there's been major changes. And I think for a lot of you, a blind spot could be that you view these things that have happened as a setback. And in some ways it could be. I don't want to diminish that. For some of you, you'll know if that's the case. But whether that is the case or not, Spirit is saying with the Hangman reverse, you have to be able to let go and move on. Even if things have stagnated for you or you feel like you have regressed in life, Spirit is saying you have the opportunity now to continue to move forward. And with the Nine of Wands in reverse, it actually gives the energy of like there's nothing really left to lose anyway. So instead of taking on the weight of the world or being impacted by these changes, shifts, or negative occurrences that have happened, or you are in the middle of going through, Spirit is saying that you can continue to grieve, but don't get stuck there. Don't only have your life be filled with grief. And Spirit is saying that there's so much more to life. And since you've gone through these shifts, it's like, okay, you can handle that. Spirit wants to remind you that there's so much that you can do now. Like, with these shifts, it just feels like there's more you can do. Like, let's say you cut off contact with a family member. Maybe there's certain things you didn't do or certain people you didn't even talk to because of your life in a way being dictated by this other person in some aspects. And now let's say you can talk to these other people that you wanted to talk to, that this family member you cut off was saying you couldn't talk to them. Now you can. You get what I'm saying? Like, it feels like with what you've lost, there's still more to be gained with this, and part of that is looking at it from a different perspective. Even if it's something like that's inherently positive, such as moving. Maybe you got a job somewhere else, but now you don't really have friends here. Spirit's saying, well, on the bright side, you do have this job. Maybe this is somewhere you've always wanted to live, and now this is something where you can have new experiences, even if it's doing the same things you did before, but just in a new environment. It will inevitably feel at least a little bit different, and Spirit is saying that doesn't always have to be a bad thing. And also, you can find with the changes comfortability and similarity. So it's not always about just doing new or different things. It's about finding comfort and finding things that you are familiar with. So let's say you go to the gym and maybe you go to a different gym, but they have some of the same equipment that you like to use. Maybe you just like to use the simple treadmill or the cycling machine. So you can still find comfort in those. Like, okay, this is something, even throughout these changes, you can find things that are the same or are similar enough. So that can still bring you comfort and safety. Six of Pentacles is all about balancing out energies. So with these shifts, if there's any negatives, try to find the positive. That doesn't mean we can't grieve. That doesn't mean we can't feel I guess the best way I could describe it is that doesn't mean we can't feel sorry for ourselves or sad for a bit, but Spirit is saying to not only experience that. Part of balancing out is acknowledging when we are sad or when we are overwhelmed. Acknowledging, not just like poo-pooing and like trying to dismiss those things. We can still dissect these feelings that we have or these thoughts that we have. We can still journal. We can still talk to other people, ask for help or ask for guidance. We can still do these things, but that doesn't take away from our ability to have happiness, to do things that are new or exciting. Just because things maybe have been down lately or things have just been too much doesn't mean we can't also find things that bring us peace and joy. Do you get what I'm saying? There's a lot of that coming through, and it feels like now and recently in your life, you've been in a stage of doing things for yourself or alone. A lot of you, it seems like you've been alone. So Spirit is saying, now's the time to well, I don't want to say it, for it could linger around still, this loneliness period for some of you. Maybe you're going through that now and you feel like you still need to go through that, especially if you're grieving something. Spirit is saying, even while you are doing something alone, you shouldn't be stuck in that forever. With the Six of Pentacles here, I think that actually ties beautifully in with 37, Descendant invitation here. Descendant is also, it gives me Libra energy because Descendant is the beginning of the 7th house, and the 7th house, to me, correlates with Libra. Some people don't like to associate the signs with the houses in astrology. I personally do. Anyway, it feels like Spirit saying now is the time to, I wonder if a lot of you have maybe been single for a long time. Interesting. So that's the thing too about not being afraid to put yourself out there. Spirit saying you can still have grace for yourself in these moments. But with this Page of Swords, it's even saying, yeah, don't be afraid to put yourself out there. If you haven't had friends for a while, or if you recently cut off ties with a certain friend, talk more with your friends that you already have, or even there really is an emphasis though on making new connections with people. And so you have to put yourself out there, and that means with your words and your actions. Swords energy, people associate with like talking and with your words, but I also very much strongly associate it with action. So the Page of Swords is saying, that card specifically is also about being talkative, being not afraid to ask questions. That's the thing too, Spirit, your blind spot could be that maybe because you've been so in your head about things recently, or you just have so much going on in your personal life, you're maybe afraid to ask yourself questions or to put yourself out there. So that's your blind spot, because you're in your own way. You are your own blind spot. So don't be afraid to ask questions and to think differently about things. I think during this time you have probably even recently been going through this, but changing your perspectives on things. And so that can make it difficult and can make us even more sad sometimes when it's like, okay, well, what I thought I knew or what I thought I believed isn't true anymore. And Spirit is saying that even though you can have sadness with this, you can also have it be viewed as something exciting or something just flat out new. And with newness can come new experiences and new beliefs that we can hold on to that give us safety or connect us with others. So don't be afraid to put yourself out there in terms of asking questions. Now is a very good time as well to educate yourself. I see you doing a lot of research. Like, let's say politically you don't know much about things, or like a lot of things are shifting around and you're like, I want to learn more about this thing I'm interested in. And then you start learning and educating. And maybe you feel bad because what you previously believed, you don't, as you educate yourself more, you don't believe it as much. Spirit is saying that that's okay. I think a lot of you are so hard on yourself, and that's part of your blind spot, is you're so hard on yourself and you feel like you have to get things specifically right all the time, that you have to be your own most reliable source. And it's good to be factual. It's good to get things right. But Spirit is saying for you, your blind spot is wanting to be right all the time. And we have the earth sign energy here, which indicates that as well. So Spirit is saying you don't need to be right all the time. And also, I think a lot of you can have black and white thinking. That's part of your blind spot, black and white thinking. You need to remember that there's nuance to life experiences and even to thoughts. You can have a certain thought or a belief, and another person can have a different, completely opposite thought or belief. And you can also be like, hey, there is no right or wrong in this instance. A lot of you feel the need to seek validity in being right or even in being wrong. But more specifically, a lot of y'all, I think, would hate to be wrong. So it's like, if you realize that you're wrong about something, I think you get very, or that you change your belief about something, I think you get very hard on yourself and you're like, why didn't I know this before? It's like, well, you just didn't, and now you have the ability to do better, to have more knowledge. And so Spirit is saying to try not to be too hard on yourself. Maybe, give yourself a little bit of a like shame, but then just be okay, I've done that. I've done my own flogging. I don't know. I think no matter what I say, a lot of you will be hard on yourself inevitably when things like this pop up or happen in your life. But Spirit is saying to still find grace. That's a big thing, is you don't give yourself enough grace when things don't go the way you expect, or when you realize things are different now. And so Spirit is saying to give yourself grace with this changing mindset and with changing relationships, that if you didn't have it right before, you have the power to have it right now, to get it right now. And so if you're doing that, then that's the best you can do. Really, we're all trying our best. And so I think a lot of you are so hard on yourself and you don't believe you're doing the best that you can do. You're being the best you can be. And with doing that, it really limits your ability to actually change. It makes it harder to change when you're like, because then sometimes people can just self-sabotage and be like, well, I know I'm wrong, but this is what I believed all my life, so I'm just going to continue believing this. It's like, is that really what you want, though? And with 37 Descendant here, I think, too, a lot of you during this time in your life specifically will learn from other people. If you are somebody who does not easily take the advice of other people, Spirit is saying that's something you should do more of right now. Even if it's like these pick a card readings, maybe you listen to them and if you hear things you don't want to hear, some of you may choose to not believe or to not take the advice of others. And that can really hurt you as well, because a lot of you, with the earth sign energy, there is a stubbornness here. So if you're unwilling to, accept truths, that can be difficult. Even if you accept things, but what does it remind me of? Maybe you accept the truth of something, but then you're like, let's say there's like a class pop quiz thing, and you're the one writing hard for this answer, and people are like, well, you're the smart one in class. Then people believe you and you put down that answer as a class, and then let's say that's like the only question that was wrong was that one, and then people get upset with you. It's like, come on, I thought we could trust you. I thought you were smart like that. And I think a lot of you, like in that kind of situation, would be, ooh, I think a lot of you, when you get upset, can be quiet too. So I think that's also why the Descending card's here. I don't remember what I was going to say. Your blind spot is that you aren't willing to, it could be that you're not willing to accept fault or apologize. That's something I think that could be a blind spot, and that can hurt your relationships and make you more isolated and more prone to depressive thoughts. But I think, what was I going to say? With Descendant being here, it really is a time of especially in group settings, I think a lot of you want to be the best in group settings. Having one-on-one conversations with people that you trust and respect, I think will be very important for you right now. I think Spirit is saying that now's the time to not self-isolate completely and to have a trusted individual. Some of you, this could also indicate therapy. It would be a good time to, if you are able to afford therapy, if you're able to see a therapist, now is a great time for that. This can also indicate just, it feels like you trust certain people in life. Like, let's say in your career, there's like a boss or a superior. You're like, well, they have more experience than me, so I trust them as opposed to my coworkers. So I'm not going to listen to what my coworkers say. I feel like what will help you get out of your shell more and will also help you to not be so stubborn in your ways of thinking. What will help you there is to talk with at least one trusted individual. I think for a lot of you, you'd rather talk about logistics as opposed to emotional stuff as well. I think when it comes to the moon is here, I think a lot of you have a lot of an emotional side that you could just struggle with letting out. So that's why with the grieving process or with the changes, Spirit is saying your blind spot, I think I did talk about this earlier, but it's not fully allowing yourself to feel. So Spirit is saying you need to open up to yourself more. You need to not have that part of your life closed off. You need to be, I don't want to say unafraid because I think a lot of you are afraid, but you need to be okay with being afraid of opening yourself up to yourself. I think a lot of you do very hard things and you can be very like well accomplished people. But when it comes to your like especially when it comes to, career stuff, but when it comes to your personal life, it feels like a lot of you don't really have it all together, which is so interesting. I think that kind of brings it all together, though, with also what I was saying earlier, where there's a lot of changes happening. I think a lot of it can be good, but I think the more good things that happen externally, the more you neglect yourself internally. So Spirit is saying you need to be able to check in with yourself. And also, I think a blind spot for a lot of you, too, is that you don't forgive people. With the Hangman reverse, Spirit is saying you need to let it go. If there's anything you're holding on to from the past, Spirit is saying it's no longer necessary or important for you to hold on to these grudges or to, hold these things as truths that maybe aren't. Does that make sense? Like, somebody could have definitely wronged you in the past, and whether that person's in your life anymore or not, I'm not even saying you need to forgive these people, but don't hold a grudge specifically. Do you get what I'm saying? When we hold things like grudges, and when we actively try to constantly seek out revenge, it's taking away energy from our own lives. And Spirit is saying now is the time to focus on fostering healthy connections and healthy relationships. That includes with yourself, but also with other people that you can trust. If your trust has been broken in the past, I think Spirit is saying like it's understandable why, for many of you, you don't trust people in general and why you maybe have a hard shell, um, a hard exterior, but Spirit is saying you need to let go of some of that because it's not healthy for you. So you need to also, for some of you, I'm not forcing you to forgive. I'm just saying for some of you that could be the case to forgive people. Also, if there's people in your life who are trying to do better, that doesn't mean you have to even forgive them, but just acknowledging that people are doing better, that they're not where they were. Like, people are not stagnant, just like how you shouldn't be stagnant either. People are not stagnant and people are ever changing. Some people, maybe will never change, especially if people are narcissists. People like that oftentimes never change. They don't feel like what they've done is wrong, or it's just hard to accept the truth that they've done something wrong, and so people just don't change and whatnot. Some people, though, are willing to change and are willing to do better. So that doesn't mean you absolutely have to be forgiving people, but a blind spot could be that you expect the worst of other people, and Spirit is saying that you don't need to always be like that and that you can let go of some of that hard exterior that you have as it relates to those kinds of situations and those kinds of people. You don't need to, it's very much nihilistic, this group. Spirit is saying you don't need to believe that the worst possible situation will happen all the time. And Spirit is also saying that some of you, I feel, are too prideful to even forgive people or to accept that people have changed. Spirit is saying, well, at least I'm saying, I'm not trying to force you to forgive, but if you do feel like you want to forgive somebody or like have somebody re-enter your life, then Spirit is saying to allow yourself to make that decision and to not ultimately just make the snap decision of, oh, well, this person wronged me, so I could never forgive them. People are ever changing. People are complicated and complex, just like how you are. I think a big message for you all is that it can be hard for you to put yourself in other people's perspectives as well. So Spirit wants you to do more of that. A blind spot could be not doing enough of even just flat out being empathetic. I don't remember what I said at the beginning of this reading. Maybe I said some of you are empathetic. I don't know. Take what resonates. But some of you, I think, lack empathy is because people have wronged you. And so you're like, I don't have empathy for anything. Like, let's say you don't talk to a certain friend anymore, and then you found out they got into a severe accident. You're like, well, good for them. So I think a lot of you could have that kind of mindset. And Spirit's like, you don't need to always, like, nothing has to be that serious. I think a lot of you, that's your blind spot too, is you could take things very seriously, or things are very life or death. And so because you take things seriously, when people wrong you, you take that so seriously, and it can be hard to forgive or to move on from it. Whether you forgive or not, people, there's situations from your past that you need to let go of. That doesn't mean, like, that means working through it, healing, grieving. So not being afraid to open yourself up emotionally, seeking therapy or a counselor of some kind if you can. But it's about not letting these situations dictate your life moving forward and not being so scarred to the point where it seems like a lot of you could easily be angry people as well. So that could be a blind spot, is that your default emotion is anger, or your default response to situations is anger and expecting the worst. So Spirit wants for you to not operate from a place like that. They want for you to, and again, when you work more on yourself, when you open yourself up more emotionally to yourself and then eventually to other people, it can be scary, but the more over time, be patient with yourself, but the more over time you do this, it will be easier to work on any anger or sadness that you have. It will be easier to work on your instincts and your impulses. Maybe you don't like the way you react in certain situations. The more you slowly work on these things, the more grace you'll give yourself and other people. But yeah, really work on opening yourself up emotionally. It can be very difficult, I know, and that also means being honest about yourself, where you've been part of the problem. That can be very difficult for people to understand. Maybe you did things because a lot of people in your life, like in your childhood, like your parents, for example, maybe they were completely awful to you. So maybe that's why there's certain decisions that you've had to make throughout your life. And it's like you can maybe understand that. So I think the forgiveness of other people is great. I think part of it is also forgiveness of yourself for the things that you did that you don't like that you did, that you hold resentment for yourself for having done. Spirit is saying that you yourself are also a complex human being. You can forgive yourself and you can move on and you can let go of past mistakes that you have also made. Now is a time of really trying to seek, I think I talked about happiness, but really with the Six of Pentacles, it makes me think of youthfulness. And the Youth of Swords energy is telling me that right now is the time to start on this, and that I also feel though this will be a long process, and that that's okay. Nine of Wands in reverse is saying peel back the layers a step at a time. Don't try to address so many issues at once. That will overwhelm you and make it so you go back to square one a lot of times. And that's okay too if you end up kind of regressing. That doesn't mean as a whole your life is regressing. It's just maybe there's moments in time so you regress. That doesn't mean you can't get better or do better or think better. Do you know what I'm saying? Anyway, let's go into the guidebook. We will read this in full. And so we have 37, Descendant Invitation. While the Ascendant describes how you enter the world, the Descendant is the place where you invite equal others to come into your world. It describes how you see these peers, what you project upon them, and what you were trained to respect in them. The Descendant is where the sun would be at sunset. Action. Look at how you invite others to dance with you to relate. By Be welcoming while also keeping healthy boundaries in place. Once you feel comfortable about your ground rules for the people you bring into your life, it is easier to open your heart. If you notice that you keep people at a distance or avoid meeting new people, investigate this habit. Though it might have been important to protect you at one time in your life, consider how it is working for you now and what would help you feel safe enough to open this door. That's beautiful for what I've been already saying too. Just extra validation for that. Also notice in what areas of your life you ask other people to do your work for you. The descendant can point to what you might try to import from other people. While this practice can refer to an important skill in a work situation, it has its dangers in a personal relationship. If you feel disempowered, you might be drawn to powerful people. If you're an extrovert who inwardly craves emotional and spiritual intimacy, you might draw in someone who helps you cozy up at home. It's wonderful when others can help you develop latent characteristics within yourself. But if you ask them to do this work for you and they leave, there goes your resource. If you see them as only an extension of yourself, you can't really see them. When you develop your own resources, you can see these others as whole beings with their own needs and gifts. Yeah, everybody's their own people. Challenge. You give your power away when, instead of working together, you ask others to be what is missing in yourself. Gift. Tend the inlet to your heart. Invite in relationships that are clear, healing, nurturing, self-responsible, and encouraging a mutual evolution. And that's what I was talking about too. If there's people who have wronged you in the past, if you've cut certain people out or you plan to sometime soon, you are still deserving of happy and healthy relationships. And that includes with yourself. I will leave it at that though. Thank you so much 3C for watching and listening to this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you liked the video, you can like the video down below. You can comment down below if you resonate with this stack, and you can update your comments sometime in the future if there are any updates you would like to provide for us all. You can subscribe to my channel. It helps me out a lot. You can check out my other timeless pick a card reading videos located all throughout my YouTube channel, and you can check out my ASMR channel, Brittney's ASMR. That will be linked in the video description down below. Thank you so much again, 3C, and take care. Hello 4D and welcome to your part of the pick a card reading video. The cards pulled here are 3 of Swords in reverse, Justice card upright, Revelation or the Tower in reverse, the Sun upright, the Priest in reverse, and or the Hierophant as well is what that is. I'm pretty sure it is. I could, you know what, should I go look in the guidebook for this? I always forget with these because I don't always pull this card. Pretty sure it's the Hierophant, though I'm just going to leave it at that, in reverse. And then the 4 of Swords upright. And then the Oracle cards say Manifest, tell the universe exactly what you want. Mercury retrograde, electronic issues, communication issues, review everything. And 2, Taurus cultivate. So if you have chosen this stack, a major blind spot for you is clearly that you are too forgiving of other people. If people in your life have wronged you, you are easily able to forgive them. And while that can be nice to be a forgiving person, you, I think, can sometimes take it too far. And this allows people to continue to make mistakes or walk all over you because you are such a forgiving person. Not only are you a forgiving person, and not only is that a blind spot that you have, but another blind spot is that you see, how do I explain? You expect the most positive outcome. You just expect that things will turn out and work in your favor, even if evidence points to that not being the case. Also, I think a lot of you too, if you feel like you've been a good person throughout your life, or maybe recently, you're like, I've been doing a lot of good things and nice things recently. I feel like you are the type of person who also just believes that if you are kind to other people, or if you are a good person in general, that means karmically you will get good things to you in return. Oh, and manifest, that also can indicate that too. I think a lot of you, well, you know what, that's part of your blind spot, is that I think a lot of you can manifest things that are unrealistic as well. And with the Hierophant or the Priest in reverse here, that indicates that as well. Where you aren't afraid to be out there with your ideas. And you aren't afraid to think of new things. And you aren't afraid to also specifically dream big. Taurus is also associated, I associate money with Taurus and Capricorn, money issues or just abundance, and So I think a lot of you, for a good example, could try to manifest money. And I think a lot of you could have unrealistic expectations. So a blind spot is that you could be illogical and you dream big without having realistic expectations or realistic steps to get to where you'd like to be. It reminds me of, like some people, shouldn't just, how do I explain? Some people, they really do just have good manifesting luck, but for most of us, to show that you really want something, you should work hard alongside your manifestations. So if you have a manifestation for moving somewhere one day, you can't just automatically move there if you're working a job that doesn't provide you barely even enough money to survive where you are now. And let's say where you want to move to, the living expenses are a lot higher. And let's say you live in an apartment now, you rent, or you live at home with family, or you have roommates. Let's say in the future you want to live alone and you want to live in a house that you own. Like, doing these things, it's okay to have these goals, but it would be unrealistic to say, hey, where I'm at right now, like my minimum wage job and where I live now and everything I'm doing now, if you think that in that kind of situation, then you'll be able to move into that next step soon of like owning a house. And that example, that's very obviously unrealistic, at least in America. I can't talk about other people in other countries, but at least in America, I can very clearly state that that example that I provided for you is a very clear, unrealistic goal that one would have. So Spirit's saying that it's okay, it's great to have goals, it's great to also manifest, even if things are a little bit, I don't want to say, like, the manifestations you work toward, you should keep them to yourself, because I get a sense that the ideas that you have are so big that other people would feel uncomfortable by them, or would feel like, oh yeah, this person's never going to be able to achieve this. So it's okay to keep things mainly to yourself, because I don't get a sense that other people would understand anyway. And it's okay to have even a little bit of unrealistic expectation. I'm not saying you have to be fully a realistic, logical person. It's okay to add some whimsy and to have goals that maybe realistically you might not ever achieve, but it's still good to have these things to work toward. For some of you, I think actually that could be the case too, where it could even be considered a blind spot, where if there's not something that's so far-fetched as part of your plan or your goal, you don't even want to work toward it because you don't want to just live a mundane life. You don't want to do things that are just typical, like working maybe a 9 to 5 for many people. Doesn't seem like some people maybe are cool with that. Maybe you're like, that's not me. I know a lot of people in the spiritual community don't like capitalism and all that. And so, like, working a 9 to 5 job in the corporate world would seem like a nightmare for many people. What was I trying to get at with that? Anyway, and with the Hierophant reverse, a lot of you don't want to live a typical life. You derive your happiness from doing things that are different. And things with the Justice card here, it's like, I'm hearing you want to live your life the way you want to live it, even if it's outside of the expectations of others, or even it's outside of what your parents wanted for you to do, or it's outside of what you originally went to school for even. There's just and the Tower's in reverse too. So I wouldn't be surprised if you're somebody who goes through many changes in life. That could be, I don't remember, I was going to say something before, but what I want to say now is a blind spot of yours could be that there are a lot of changes that happen, and it's okay for things to change. We are always changing. Our environment is technically always changing. But I feel like for a lot of you, you could struggle with, like, maintaining stability, maintaining level-headedness, and even though Taurus is here, I also get very much, it's honestly like air sign vibes, more specifically Aquarius, could be Gemini as well, vibes where it's almost like y'all go with the flow for things, because again, you expect the best, you expect good things to happen for you, and oh my god, I feel like there's so many messages I want to say. What was I trying to say though? The blind spot. Before I forget, I want to say another blind spot could be, I just have I have so much going on for y'all. It's hard to keep it all together and, like, remember. I think that is also tapping into your energy as well. You just have so many ideas, so it's hard. Oh, what I was saying before, a blind spot could be, yeah, struggling to remain stable. So if you're always doing new things, it's good to do new things, but there needs to be a point where it's okay to also have routines. It's okay to also have, like, there's some people who are nomads, and in that situation, spirit could be like, "It's okay to also have a home." Like, it's okay to live somewhere for more than a year. It's okay to not always be moving around or switching jobs. So, spirit is saying that a blind spot could be that you don't have that stability. If you lack that anyway, find areas of your life where things are constantly changing and there's not any homeostasis or calmness, and try to bring about some more calmness, because things don't always need to be changing. And that's the thing too for a blind spot. If things are always in your life changing, you are always changing things like you yourself are enacting these changes in your life. Think about any escapist tendencies that you could. It's also giving, because of that, I guess you could say Pisces vibes. But think of the ways that you kind of escape reality. And then a lot of you maybe, like, I see you picking up a lot of different hobbies as well. So that's part of what spirit is saying is a blind spot. See what sticks. It's okay to try new things and do different things and not always just do the same thing all the time. But at the same time, there should be some sort of normalcy and something that you can rely on that is more routine based. And when you do that, if it brings up any anxiety, try to figure out why. Try to figure out why you're always trying to do new things. Do you feel like if you're doing something and it's not, ooh, I think this can relate to a lot of you. If you do something, like say you have a new job, and let's say you're not advancing as quickly in that job as you'd like, or you're not getting along with people as quickly as you'd like you're not becoming besties with your coworkers as quickly or as greatly as you'd like, and then maybe you're like, okay, I just need to move on to the next job then. I need to find something else. Spirit is saying, let it cook. So some of you, I think, aren't patient enough. That's a blind spot, is a lot of you aren't patient. A lot of times I think you have a lot of giddy energy, so that's why it can be hard to be patient. I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of the people who have chosen this stack do have ADHD. It feels like very chaotic, and we do have Mercury retrograde here too. But it feels like there's a lot of chaos in your life, and it seems like with the chaos, so a lot of you handle it well, but Spirit's like, even if you handle it well, it's not good to always just be in chaos. Like, you need to have that calmness, and you need to be patient. If things aren't working in your favor right away, that doesn't mean just, like, switch your manifestation, switch careers, move. Spirit is saying sometimes that means you need to really think about what it is that you want, and you need to be patient if what you want still is what you like, to see if what you want is still what you want. You get what I'm saying? So, like, let's say you are working at a job, you've been working there a year, and let's say you didn't get as big of a raise as you thought, and that doesn't mean you have to stay there necessarily, but it's not like, oh yeah, I didn't get as big of a raise as I thought, so I'll just move on to the next job. Those kinds of quick decision making situations, maybe right now, especially a lot of you, I feel like are very youthful and young. So I feel like maybe now it might not seem like it affects you, but later on it will. Like, a big example that's coming up for me is retirement. It's easier, or it's a better idea, or not a better idea. It's, you're able to more save for retirement if you stay at one job and build upon your retirement plan that way. I'm not like a financial expert or a crypto bro or any of that, so like, do your own research. But that's an example. What you do now, even though you maybe are living a very full life now, Spirit is saying part of balancing out that full life is also needing to think a bit more about the future, because I think a lot of you, your blind spot is that you maybe don't think too much about the future. You live very in the present, which can be good, but it gets to a point of, it will bite you later on to not think as much about the future, is the way that this comes across. So you need to lay out groundwork, think about what it is, not just what you want now, but think about how what you want now affects your future, and think about also what you want not now, but in the future. So if you want to be able to retire one day, maybe some people don't care, or you maybe have the mindset of, I'll never be able to retire because of the type of work I'm able to do. So just think about what works best for you in this kind of situation, right? Um, I will say though, with the sun here, I feel like a lot of you are very happy-go-lucky people. But that is why it can be hard, or not hard. I think a lot of you could also be sociable, but that could be a blind spot where you're very easygoing with people, because that means you could be friends with people who are not good influences on you. And I don't really get the sense that you'll necessarily partake in much of activities of negative influences in your life, but you still have them around you, and so that affects your perspective. And you know the vibe it gives me? It gives me the vibe of, like, let's say you're a straight cisgender person, but then you have friends who are non-binary, who are trans, who are queer, you know, part of the community. And then you also have friends though who are very, like, maybe let's say mega and religious and very anti-queer and trans folk. And let's say that this friend that you have who's very, like, conservative doesn't like your other friends who are like this, and they're very mean about them, and they try to convince you, like, you should stop being friends with them. I don't get the sense in that kind of situation that you'd stop being friends with these other people, but it's like, you overlook things because you're like, oh, everybody has things about them that are different, or everybody makes mistakes, everybody has those days, everybody knows what I'm talking about, everybody gets that way. Hannah Montana. Yeah, but yeah, even if you don't outwardly portray these characteristics or beliefs of certain friends or connections you may have, it it still subconsciously affects you enough, even if you don't realize it. And it's just also, it's about respect. I think you try to meet the needs of everyone, or meet everybody where they're at, I guess is what you could say, but then it can impact other people in your life. And I think you're somebody too who, even though we have justice here, I feel like you're somebody who is more likely to stay impartial, or is able to, also play devil's advocate. There's the air sign, Libra energy there. But and Gemini. And, well, Aquarius, this is air sign energy in general, I feel like. But I feel like you're not afraid to play devil's advocate and be like, okay, well, even if I don't believe in what this person personally believes, like, why can't we be friends, you know? Like, why can't we all just get along still and look past that? So a blind spot is that you look past people's red flags, you look past people's negative qualities, because you try to do things like play devil's advocate or just be impartial. Spirit is saying that there are times to be impartial or neutral, and there are also times to even pick sides specifically. And with Mercury retrograde too, when it talks about the communication issues, I think that could be a part of why that card is here. Also just because of the chaos that happens in your life and things don't ever really stay the same. But it feels like, and review everything. That's the thing too about, I tell you, you need to be more patient. Part of that means also reflecting. A lot of you, it seems like, don't really do much for inner reflection. I think that kind of stuff can be difficult for you. Instead of reflecting inward, you act outward, like you pick up on different hobbies, or you engage in different activities that take your mind off of your own inner conflicts. So Spirit is saying to not do that as much, to be internal, to journal, or to talk to people, open up to people, because I think for you, a blind spot could be that you also keep things more surface level in your relationships, and that it can be very difficult not only for you to open up to yourself, but also for you to open up to other people and be vulnerable. So that's something that is a blind spot, and that you should work on your vulnerability so that it is less of a blind spot. What was I trying to say before though? Oh yeah, communication issues. I think too that you're the type of person who could say things that, I feel like y'all have a good sense of humor, or at least you claim to. So I think you have to be careful with the words you say. You could easily offend people. You could think that, like, some people, like, in the drag and queer communities, people read each other, and that's part of showing love and affection. But some people in your inner circle might not like that kind of language or that type of banter. So that's something to consider. Or maybe you just take things too far without realizing it, because you think, oh yeah, this isn't something that would offend me, so it shouldn't offend other people. So a blind spot could be that it's difficult to maybe even put yourself in other people's shoes. Even though you play devil's advocate, I think it's, like, more so for you, not for other people, if that makes sense. Hopefully that's not a read. See, that's a read. Like, maybe. Not everybody, like, if you read somebody, or if you say something, even if you're reading, like, it's all good and fun, you could say things that could be hurtful. I don't get the sense that it's with malice, though. Like, I don't think you do things with malice. I think you're very much, even the Jupiter energy is coming up. A lot of different energies are coming up. Like, yeah, Jupiter, Sagittarius, Pisces energy, where, almost being philosophical about things. And so that's why it's like, I don't think you think there's a right or wrong or correct or wrong, right, wrong, or correct or incorrect answer for things a lot of the time, which is why I think a lot of you can default to being impartial or neutral. Whew, it all comes full circle. So anyway, just be careful about how you communicate to others, and in situations where you think you're being funny specifically, how that can come across maybe not the best all the time. And with Taurus here too, a lot of you could struggle with, or a blind spot could be that you spend too much money, and that you don't save enough. So with Taurus here, Spirit is saying that part of what you can do, and also this taps into your manifestation abilities as well, is save more money and spend less money, especially on frivolous or random things. So that also means cutting back on things that you maybe, if you have subscriptions to a lot of things, cutting back a bit on that. Part of what I personally believe taps into manifestation power. Like, some people maybe will disagree with this. I think it maybe just depends on the person. For me, what helps when I'm manifesting, let's say, for example, with money, the more I save, it seems like the more money I make, because it shows that I'm responsible with my money. I'm not just going to throw away any money that I'm trying to attract to me. And also with Mercury retrograde here, and even with electronic issues, as the car there. Let's say you're not saving up your money, and then you have car troubles, and then you have to even take time off of work just to be able to take your car in, and then you have to take out like a loan just to be able to afford these repairs on your car, or you have to get in debt on your credit card. And it's like, if you maybe would have spent less before, then you wouldn't have to be in this situation now. So that's a blind spot for a lot of you as well. Glad that y'all are happy-go-lucky people, but you need to be able to save more and spend less. And you'll also notice how that affects your manifesting abilities, and just also good luck opportunities, I feel like, will easily come into your life more when you, positively abundant opportunities will come into your life more when you save more. And also, and just, yeah, when you're more frugal, also more frugal not only with your money, but with your time and energy with other people. So there are some people who are draining. Don't be around these people who are draining. But also, I think a lot of you can struggle with being so hyper independent. So it's okay to also, like, have long-lasting friendships. A big message that is a blind spot is that you do a lot of things that are short-term, or you don't think long-term. So think about long-lasting connections that you can make now, or that you can continue to foster those kinds of relationships now so that they can be long-term, instead of dismissing people in your life or not considering other people in your life as much. Do you know what I'm saying when I say that? I feel like, even though the Three of Swords in reverse is here, yeah, I think for me that mainly ties into this escapist kind of tendencies, and the Four of Swords upright really ties into, what do I want to say? For me, I just feel like it's usually a card about rest and relaxation. I get the sense that y'all don't really rest or relax, and that's part of your blind spots. You should do that more. I think that's part of the reason why that's showing up. But also, I think it just represents, for some reason, in this spread for you all, it represents you kind of running away from your problems. So make sure you face your problems head on. Do not run from or escape your issues, or else the Mercury retrograde type energy will continue to follow you. Okay, let's go into the guidebook now. We have 2 Taurus cultivate, and I will read this in full. Taurus asks you to hold still, dig in, grow roots, and strengthen over time. Manifest in a practical way. Yes! I love that that's here with the manifest card. Yes, exactly. Signified by a bull standing in its field, Taurus rules the neck and voice. Its purpose is to bring life into matter through growing wildflowers and crops, through our muscular strength and the sensual potential of our bodies, and through the solidness of our material resources. The sun shines here April 21st to May 20th. Action. Work with the metaphor of gardening. Plow the ground, plant the seeds, nurture the crops with water and fertilizer, and protect those crops from predation. Grow roots rather than travel. Investigate what concrete form your project should take and the next practical steps in that direction. Appreciate the senses. Notice what you see, smell, hear, feel, and taste. I love that saying that. Use the senses to be in the present moment and let time flow by. Cuddle feed. Because even though y'all are very present, I think even though you're present, you do a lot of stuff, you're just always moving on to the next thing. So it's not just about being present, but about actually taking in the present. So activating your senses. That's very important that Spirit is mentioning that through this. In a relationship, listen to both the signals of body chemistry and the practicalities of your life to give it a fertile field. Cultivate your garden. Like a slowly growing flower basking in the sun, find contentment in this moment. Oh, and in the sun, they're literally planting flowers. Love that. In the sun card, in the tarot card. For the stack. Okay. Explore the roots of the situation. Ask what feeds this idea or what feeds your soul. If you're feeling pushed about, sit, hold still, grow roots, and let the storm pass over you. Don't hurry. Play the long game as you plant and tend your crops. Yeah, don't be in a rush to do so many different things. Patience. Challenge. Taurus excess can lead you to mistake stubbornness for strength or look for spiritual and emotional answers in the material world. There will never be enough stuff to fill an emotional void. Ooh. Sensuality is a Taurus gift, but sex alone will not fulfill a desire for love. Clarify your hunger. Gift. Everything that surrounds you is made up of matter, and the word matter comes from the Latin word mater, or mother. Taurus connects you to the sacred earth mother Gaia herself, the physical vessel who holds spirit in the body, in the plants, and in the earth beneath us. And I think that is all I have to say. That pretty much sums everything up. So thank you so much, 4D, for watching and listening to this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you liked the video, you can like the video down below. You can comment down below if you resonate with this stack, and you can update your comment again sometime in the future if there are any updates you would like to provide for us all. You can subscribe to my channel. That helps me out a lot. You can check out my other timeless pick a card reading videos located all throughout my YouTube channel. And you can check out my ASMR channel, Brittney's ASMR, that will be linked in the video description down below. Thank you so much again, 4D, and take care.